The two men tonight on the platform behind me have been clear, and I hope will again be clear in their contribution tonight, that there will not be and there cannot be power sharing in Northern Ireland until the Union subjugating protocol is removed and the principle of consent operates to safeguard the Union. And I would say to you all here tonight, whatever of the policy differences you may have between the parties, on the protocol, as we stand now, the DUP, the TUV and the PUP have stood firm behind their pledge of unalterable opposition to the protocol, and they have been backed and they continue to be backed by grassroots unionism and loyalism and the loyal institutions. So tonight we stand here proud and defiant as a union of unionists. Our cause has only one objective, and that is the defence of the Union. And you see, friends, one of the criticisms from those who have crossed the picket line manned by this Union of Unionists is that these protests have turned against the Belfast Agreement. Well, to those people I say this: no self-respecting unionist should or could continue to support that agreement, which always was, but has been exposed as a fraud and a deceit. The Belfast Agreement put unionism on a one-way path to destruction, but those who championed it told us we need not worry, because they had secured a principle of consent to ensure there would be no change to our constitutional status. They claimed this was a guaranteed and solid protection guarding the Union. In short, you couldn't change anything until you changed the last thing, namely the final formal handover of sovereignty. But actually, we now find out when it comes to the Union, you can change everything but the last thing. You can dismember this Union piece by piece, and worst of all, you can do it by destroying it from its very foundation. And the foundation of the Union is, as David Trimble said in 1998, the act of union is the Union. But the apparent principle of consent, that deceit, that deception, the Union subjugating protocol exposed it, because the protocol dismantled the act of union, and assisted by the findings of the Court of Appeal, which found that the Union had been subjugated. Our precious Union that people fought and died to defend, subjugated beneath this evil protocol. And that placed the Union, friends, into quicksand. And when you stand in quicksand, you don't drown immediately, but if you don't get out, you will. And it follows, if we do not get the Union out of the quicksand, namely this devil's pit known as the protocol, then the Union, and us with it, will not only be subjugated, but we will be fatally submerged. So Jim Allister is right when he says, if we do not kill the protocol will kill the Union. But there is no threat to the Union, some people tell us. Such folly and such lies. And let me make it simple for those people, even some purported unionists who say there is no constitutional threat. In 1998, pro-agreement unionism was led by David Trimble. He said clearly and without equivocation, the sole basis for the Belfast Agreement was the principle of consent, which protected against constitutional change. As I said, he also correctly pointed out the act of union is the Union. Well, now the act of union has been subjugated, and this subjugation, this fundamental change, has happened without consent. And so what do the sycophantic puppies fascinated with the Belfast Agreement tell us? They claim, despite the clear and unequivocal evidence before their eyes, that there has been no constitutional change, that the Union is safe. And what is their proposed way forward? not only to keep operating the fraudulent, the deceptive institutions of the Belfast Agreement, but to deliver more Belfast Agreement by embedding the protocol by North-South bodies. The strategy is effectively to say to those imposing the Union subjugating protocol, please take away the protocol, or else we'll keep implementing it. And the Belfast Agreement, as Maggie Thatcher would have said, you need a deterrent, and that's no deterrent. And ladies and gentlemen, when we look at the last 25 years, it has worked on a fundamental premise, and the fundamental premise is this, that unionism must give and nationalism must get. The RUC, the UDR, the British Army, criminalised and dehumanised, whilst the IRA have de facto immunity. Loyalists hounded and harassed by the PSNI, whilst the criminal activity of the IRA is off limits. The PSNI said to me in writing, we do not investigate the IRA. Welcome to Northern Ireland in 2022. We've been expected to hide our Britishness and our identity treated as an underclass. Even so much as a stone to commemorate 100 years was too much to ask for. And those things are just some small examples. Each of you will have your own, and I urge you to think about them and ask yourself, what has the last 25 years delivered for the Union? Think about that, and you will realise why they want anti-agreement and anti-protocol voices silenced. Because they don't want the people of our community hearing the truth. They want unionism and loyalism to continue to be deceived, and so they will seek to demonise, to silence and to censor any voices which expose the deception. And this campaign we've seen recently, led primarily by the SDLP and the Alliance, and they say they're worried about the language being used from these platforms. Well, let me tell you, SDLP, you weren't too worried about the language when Claire Hanna was threatening civil disobedience at a very minimum when it came to the protocol. Or, in the same newspaper article, when silly Stephen Fry, he who is offended by so much as a purple and orange football top, was explaining why nationalist civil disobedience would be justified if there was any checks between North and South. And of course, these threats were mild compared to the Irish government's threats of IRA bombs if there was so much as a CCTV camera on the border. And Simon Coveney this week, quite rightly, said that violence or the threat of it should have no role to play in any democratic society. Well, it's a pity Mr. Coveney didn't think that when his government were using the threat of nationalist violence to try and subjugate us under this protocol. But sadly, folks, this hypocritical campaign to silence our community is aided and abetted by some who apparently are worried or concerned, bless them, that when I have said from these platforms that we need to raise the temperature politically, and in consequence these poor souls are worried that tensions might rise. Let me remind such persons, tensions are rising in Northern Ireland because our people are being held hostage in an economic united Ireland, and our union is being subjugated against our will, and all of this imposed as a reward for the threats of nationalist violence. That's what's causing tension in Northern Ireland. So let me say this very clearly, given some of the commentary over the past couple of weeks. I stand over every single word I have said from platforms during this protest campaign. If some hope, and as some suggested, that we should moderate or tone down the contributions, then they are going to be very sadly disappointed. I will not be party to misleading or deceiving the Unionist and Loyalist community, and nor will I be part of the nonsensical proposition that we should continue to operate or support the Belfast Agreement nor the process or protocol it spawned. And if that is raising the political temperature, then so be it. And to those people I say, there are some people who would be better standing firm and focusing on a union of unionists rather than chasing some utopian consensus with those whose objective is the destruction of the union. To paraphrase the words of Lord Carson, there are none so loathsome as those who would sell their friends for the purpose of conciliation with their enemies. So as I come to a close, folks, we do need to politically raise the temperature peacefully and lawfully, and we do need to ensure maximum political and societal instability. So far be it from retracting any of those words I first spoke in Ballymoney, I say them again, even louder. And equally, I have been criticised for views expressed on the Irish government. I stand over those views 110%, and let me say them again. The Irish government did use the threat of IRA bombs to put this protocol upon us. The Irish government are meddling aggressors, and politically, from a unionist point of view, they should keep their covetous nose out of the internal affairs of Northern Ireland, and they are neither wanted nor welcome in this part of the United Kingdom. And you can take that back to Dublin, Simon Coveney. And people should peacefully protest the Irish government's increasingly aggressive efforts to copper fasten the subjugation of our community. So if people want to lower the temperature, there's a very simple way to do that. Number one, dismantle the union subjugating, violence rewarding, pro-nationalist protocol. And number two, restore the principle of consent. Put simply, cut down the double knotted noose around the neck of the union. So finally, my friends, let the word go out from Lurgan tonight. We have had enough. Enough of the Belfast Agreement designed to walk us into United Ireland. Enough of our community and culture being treated as an underclass. Enough of the sneering, self-appointed, latte-drinking liberal elite sneering down their nose at us. Enough of the two-tier policing and justice system. And most of all, enough of this violence-rewarding, union-subjugating protocol. We are a union of unionists, and we say enough is enough. Thank you.